If there's any racing game that survived the test of time and the ever-changing landscape of the video game market, it would have to be Nintendo's iconic and much-loved flagship franchise, Mario Kart. From the groundbreaking moment of Mode 7 in the series' debut, Super Mario Kart, to the multi-terrain approach in Mario Kart 7, the series has flourished in over 2 decades. With Nintendo's latest home console, Wii U, in need of a healthy prescribed dose of banana blitzing, blue shell busting and Rainbow Road romping, the team have been brewing what's intended to be the definitive edition of Mario Kart. Nintendo haven't just spruced up the visual design into HD, but instead collated all the innovative features from years past, together with intricate fine-tuning to produce a Mario Kart from a brand new perspective. Welcome to Mario Kart 8. The build we played was a press preview, and it was a significant step up from the initial post-E3 reveal, a delicious starter to the main course that's expected to hit homes this May. As its preview build, the main focus was on single and multiplayer Grand Prix, with 16 of the 32 courses available to blitz through, soaking up the intense amount of detail and trying to remeld lessons learnt from the more recent entries. As per expected, these play out in the tried and tested way. 4 courses, points awarded for how well each racer places per circuit, culminating in a victory celebration and those all-important bragging rights that transcend time itself. The preview build didn't delve into the customization options available, but there was assurance that there'll be a wealth of modifiers to shake up proceedings. Mario Kart 8 producer Yusuke Yabuki did tease in a roundtable during GDC that the Wii U edition will feature a greater level of customization, taking a leaf out of the Mario Kart 7 rulebook. Unfortunately, all the other available modes weren't playable, but would presumably fit into the Mario Kart mold for those already accustomed to how they play out. Single player, a staple of the series and one for unlocking content, is of course back in full force. There'll also be 2-player split screen mode, time trials, battle and online play. Those wanting to go deeper into the experience, unrestrained from the specific Grand Prix order, can sink their teeth into the Versus mode as featured in more recent installments. What is worth noting though is that both Battle and Versus modes are both available in the single player selection, and though not playable in the preview build, are a welcome re-inclusion given the abrupt removal of these options for the solo racer in Mario Kart 7. Add a 3rd or 4th player and instantly leap back through time to the days where localized split screen was the norm and smartphones weren't around to derail their concentration. As a staple of the series, 4-player local play returns and will likely eat into your gaming nights with ease. Last but not least is what Nintendo are describing as the Edit Highlight Reel feature, Mario Kart TV, an expanded replay function that would essentially allow footage from the race itself to be cherry-picked, chopped and mashed neatly together to produce those key unforgettable moments. Manage to claim pole position from the perils of last place, perform the physics-defying evasion along the walls only to be derailed by a blue shell, moments from the finishing line? Well, these moments can be captured and tweaked so that everyone can relive the race, particularly those who may have been in other sections of the course while all the action was happening. The hands-on preview build did give a small taster of what's to come, and it will certainly be an intriguing option to explore in the final release. Whilst the game was mind-numbingly impressive and a true successor visually in the E3 build, the latest insight into the inner workings of Mario Kart 8 presented a sublime art style that is truly brimming with streams of colour, intricate detail, and a scope beyond a simple reconfiguration of the Mario Kart Wii aesthetic. The added details and top-tier production help accentuate that fantasy feeling of racing in a myriad of different environments, realistic texture work and lighting, yet maintain the Nintendo lick of paint. Swamp Ruins brings an impressive tribal look, bathed in scorching sunshine and dimly lit, eerie tunnels, whilst Shy Guy Falls ascends into new heights through a fantastically detailed mountain range. retro courses have been torn up, ripped apart from the pixelated and polygon roots, and reworked into a delightful, reimagined look that sits nicely within the new framework. For all the details, particle and lighting effects, the game would fail at the first hurdle if the animation and movement churned along, so fortunately everything is locked in at an impressive 60 frames per second, or 30 when playing with 3 or more players. In the several hours of play, the game didn't stutter once, with the single player certainly being the most impressive setting yet, allowing the true vision of the production to come alive on the big screen. With a third or fourth player sat firmly in the driver's seat, the fluidity does take a fairly significant dive, dropping from an insatiable 60 frames per second to half that, but fortunately maintaining a steady and far more consistent performance when compared to Mario Kart Wii. In the former release, 4 players would be mind-numbingly awful, with slowdown apparent in every which corner. However, in Mario Kart 8 it's a joy to play, maintaining that solid 30 frames per second lead. Certain series veterans may cringe at the very mention of Motorbikes, with the series clearly labelled as Mario Kart, but the two-wheelers are certainly here to stay given the popularity of the vehicle class in Mario Kart Wii. Armed with the ability to submerge under particular portions of water and glide past opponents from Mario Kart 7, there's no plane that can't be conquered with the Mario Kingdom Racers. Unlike Mario Kart Wii, however, the vehicle selection process lends itself more to Mario Kart 7, where different wheel and parasol types affect stats, rather than simply weight-specific models. Bikes do feel that bit closer and more balanced towards karts this time round, with the concern from four-wheeled purists that bikes had the upper hand in a multi-vehicle race in Mario Kart Wii. Gone is the ability to instantly wheelie for added speed, in favour of bikes that do feel heavier than their Wii counterparts, with turning that felt more in line with Mario Kart 7. From the preview build, there wasn't a bike available that emulated the Mac bike or Magic Cruiser in terms of nippy turning, but some did come a little bit close to achieving that style of control. Above all that comes the much touted anti-gravity feature, where certain sections of a track would allow players to cling onto walls or the ceiling to avoid obstacles, take the much needed shortcuts, or simply act as part of the level design itself. Particular highlights include roaming across a Boo Ghost Banquet in Twisted Mansion, seeing Princess Peach's castle upside down in Mario Circuit, or sending up a drenched roller coaster in Water Park. No longer are circuits limited to a fairly flat terrain, but instead it's a wild ride of different axes without being too disorientating due to consistently fixed camera work. Another change was an ability Nintendo are calling Spin Turbo, where specific objects or colliding into another racer during the anti-gravity sections grant a mini speed boost. The usual assortment of familiar faces return in their quest for Golden Cup glory, including Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Daisy, the babies, Bowser, Donkey Kong, Wario, Waluigi, the Koopalings and many more. Bowser's cheeky offspring do tend to feel a little like rehashed versions of the core crew, but they do have their own distinct personalities. Perhaps they could have opened the floor for other more potentially unique enemies from the Super Mario series, but these critters are here to stay. In the preview build, there were 16 courses available to sample across 4 cups, with 32 set to be available in the final retail release. The new set offered a vibrant, enjoyable selection of themes, from the scrumptious, candy-filled delights of Sweet Sweet Canyon to the vibrant European seaside vibes of Toad's Harbour. There is already an exciting number of courses, each distinctively different from one another. In terms of complexity and course structure, there were some dastardly turns in places and awkward obstacles here and there, but these early Grand Prix Cups within the game are notably easy to navigate. The retro courses are a joy to behold, particularly for those who have grown up with the series. From a sample of tracks played, most of these put the anti-gravity on the back burner, relying on a more traditional course design, bar a handful of trick platforms and slight deviations on the tried and tested structure. Those that did lift players above safe ground included the clever use of ramps for flight, plus anti-gravity walls in Toad's Turnpike, plus a giant modified loop on springs in Mario Circuit. Visually the tracks aren't a simple cut and paste job, with some flourishing so much so that they become almost new circuits in their own entirety. It certainly pulls on the heartstrings, and it will be exciting to see how the remainder of retro selection plays out. Mario Kart wouldn't be quite the same without a generous helping of items, intuitive and precise controls, and Mario Kart 8 returns with that wholesome feeling that it just simply works. The preview build did lack some of the new items from the finished product, but did include a traditional collection of shells, mushrooms, an invincibility star, lightning and bananas, and also invited back the Bullet Bill, Blooper, Fire Flower and Bomb from the more recent titles. These generally handle almost identically to their predecessors. They come with the snag of not being able to pick up additional items whilst holding out shells, or bananas for example, whether it's 3 circling around you or holding a single item from behind a racer. Whilst it's a fairly small change, it does have repercussions on those sailing ahead, given the lack of reserve item. That said, balancing in the preview build did lean slightly more towards those who are out in front, as catching the pack from low positions did seem significantly more challenging this time round. 2 newer items include the nifty Boomerang, which fires out in front and returns, knocking out multiple racers with up to 3 throws. It's one of the more useful additions, with the potential to do a lot of damage within a confined space, yet demands a little bit more skill than simply letting loose all willy-nilly. The second of the pair was a hungry piranha plant, which bolts onto the front of a vehicle and gobbles up obstacles, and naturally races up ahead. It does sound similar to the invincibility star in some ways, but does leave the rear undefended and up for the taking. In terms of controls, those who have played the Wii or 3DS releases will feel instantly at home. There is a little bit more weight though, so both karts and bikes did feel fractionally heavier overall from the preview roster. Power sliding is the modern system of holding down a shoulder trigger to build up momentum, with both bikes and karts able to generate an orange flame with some persistence. From the overall hands-on session, it's as tight and solid as the past games, with the refinement and balancing between vehicle types and classes that did make for closer matches. The Gamepad was available to try, though the interface is subject to change in the final release. It offers a fairly limited toolset on the screen itself, a map, ranking, off-TV system and a giant horn to press, but not really much else. A rear view camera would have certainly been the icing on the cake, but there is of course elements of the design that have yet to be shown. Lastly, but certainly not least, was the soundtrack. Whilst the playthrough session did not allow for headphones or direct audio recording, the vibrancy and richness of the live instrumentation just strengthened the presentation and helps highlight just how much work has gone into the production, even from an unfinished preview build. Not all tracks will come with full live music, but it's certainly a much needed step up from the dated MIDI range. Mario Kart 8 is a sign of greater moments to come for Wii U owners, with a velvety, rich look and feel and sound that is bringing the Nintendo production into the high definition era. The controls are as fluid and intuitive as ever, courses are distinct and varied, and features absent from the 3DS release are making a welcome return. Nintendo are helping that this release will be the definitive package, and as it stands, it's certainly coming close to fulfilling that need. You better stack up on supplies, as June will be a month to remember.